of the Public Safety Committee meeting at 1:04 p.m. Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, wait a minute now. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. All right. It's a pleasure to have everybody in this building and in this space for this purpose this afternoon. And even though it is a very serious matter, I have hope, looking at all of the faces that are here today, to begin a conversation about how we as the city, how we as the county, and how our institutional partners and the community at large will work together to address gun violence. Several months ago, the city of Gainesville declared gun violence as a public health crisis in the city. And we asked that our constituents, or actually our colleagues across the street, do a mirror resolution for the same, and the county joined us. So the city and the county have vowed to work together to stem gun violence throughout Alachua County. But we know that it is going to take an effort much greater than municipal government. It is going to take all hands on deck. And so that is why we're here today. We have several guests that have joined us from a number of different organizations from around the county, and I'm just pleased. A number of them are in other meetings at this time, but I am looking out throughout this audience and I am saying thank you for being here. My mother taught me a long time ago, don't call names because you get into trouble. But I'm going to look at you and I'm going to nod and I'm going to smile. And at a certain point, I do believe I am going to ask you to stand and be acknowledged today, because I think it not robbery for you to have joined us, given us of your time and of your efforts to address this issue. Madam Clerk, as you take your seat, our first order of business, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first item is approval of the agenda, adoption of the agenda.
Okay. So moved. Thank you. Second? It has been moved and seconded that we adopt or approve the minutes.
Agenda.
For the agenda. Yes, thank you, that we approve the agenda. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, no nays. And just so everyone knows, Commissioner Saka was unable to be here with us today. All right, our next order of business.
Okay, next item is the approval of the minutes for March 27th, 2023 and May 8th, 2023 of the Public Safety Committee meetings.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, it has been moved and I second it that we approve the minutes from the March 27th and May 8th Public Safety meetings. All in favor? Aye. Aye. No opposed, and so that passes. All right. Madam Clerk, our next order of business.
Next item is our listening session on gun violence.
Thank you very much. Right before we started this committee, as the commissioners were deciding what our topics would be, and we have had several, from the K-9 unit to summer programs, and today now to gun violence, one of the issues that was put forward by Commissioner Sacco was that we have a listening session to individuals who have been personally impacted by gun violence. Today, I have invited a young man that I have had the privilege of meeting and even beginning to work with. He is a gentleman who has long roots in the city of Gainesville in a number of different ways. And I'm going to allow him to tell you about his experiences with gun violence, and just to kind of give you just a little bit of a foresight into this young man. He is hope embodied. If we can take the youth who are experiencing gun violence either as perpetrators or as victims, and we can fast forward them into progress, he is what it would look like. And so at this time, I'd like to invite Adrian Price to the microphone to give us our gun violence listening session today.
Well, good afternoon to everybody. I couldn't have imagined this moment, I'll tell you the truth. But I'm Adrian Price. Right now, I'm a college student at Santa Fe, a PTK Honor Society college student at at Santa Fe College / employee at HCA Healthcare. Is a really good company. But in a lot of other accomplishments, I'm also the president of the Justice Club out there at Santa Fe College, and we're doing an initiative out there. We just did a symposium called Free to Learn, which is education in and out of prison, the need for that. But that wasn't always the case with me. You know, I'm just 5 years removed from prison. I'm doing 10 years probation right now as we speak. I did 11 and a half years of prison before getting out from 2006 to 2018. So what's the difference? You know, what happened, right? How did it change, right? And I served time for armed robbery with a firearm. Not to get into details, but that was me, to say the least. So as I explained in short, because it's a very long story, obviously, I want y'all to pay attention to 3 points, right? The development of antisocial behaviors in me, and also ignorance, the ignorance that justified violent behavior in me, and how was that dangerous mentality changed? Like, I want you to, them 3 points I want you to focus on. So, me, I grew up in Duval Heights, Duval community. You had to be rough, you know, and I like to put it like this. I grew up with the outsiders, but I dreamed for a life that was lived inside. And what I mean by outsiders is being black in America. I was born in 1985. It's a reality. It's not an excuse, it's a reality. That in that community, we had a sense of creating our own laws, because in times in the past, they didn't always represent us. You know, it probably changed at that time, but it was ingrained in the people that raised me. You don't trust the police, you handle your problems on your own. That being said, just about everybody in here that's black, they know that it was a common saying in the household: somebody hit you, you hit them back. Because it was taught not to be passive, you know. So growing up in elementary, had this spirit in me where I'm not going to be passive. So I ended up getting in trouble early in school. My mother always tell me a story about the first time I got into a fight. I broke this kid's nose in like first grade. And she said that the kid kept bothering me. I told the teacher, I kept telling them they didn't do anything, so I retaliated. Well, that spurred a number of events in school. So to make a very long story short on that, because of those behaviors that was being displayed by me, when somebody offended me, I handled it on my own. Because of that behavior in me, it caused me to be put in remedial classes. They labeled me with a behavior problem, right? So going up through high school and through middle school and elementary, I always dreamed to be a football player. That was my dream. So that's what I pursued, and that dream kept me. For a while, it kept me from doing other things that was in that rough neighborhood. It kept me for a while. But around about 18 years old, it couldn't keep me any longer because that dream of playing football, I was very good, but I didn't have the knowledge outside of school that it took, you know, with the recruiting and things like that. Neither anybody around me didn't have it. So to make a very long story short on that end, it couldn't keep me any longer, you know. So then I started getting into instances again. You know, I end up questioning myself, like what I'm going to do with my life, because I always dreamed of the NFL. I wanted to go to school, but no outside resources. I tried to do things on my own. It didn't work out, but make a long story short, I remember sitting in the Majestic Oaks apartments, and I remember saying to myself, when I couldn't find a job, probably because I had this in my hair back then too, I couldn't find a job, probably didn't know how to speak well or whatever the case may be. I couldn't find a job. I went to Subway, I went to Blockbuster, I went to everything you can name. And I tried jobs and nothing worked out. And I remember, and I believe in God, and I said, God, if it got to be like this, you might as well take my life now. Because I was faced with a decision. I said, I'm going to either sell drugs or get a job. You know that. So after I couldn't get a job, I sold my car. I went up to Jacksonville. I bought some drugs and brought it back. But well, you know what comes with that? With the drugs, selling drugs, trying to survive for yourself? Guns and violence. You have to protect what you got, because remember, I was always taught to handle things on my own, not involve the police. Let alone I'm doing illegal things now. Not because I wanted to. It was my limited knowledge, the ignorance, right? That limited knowledge caused me to go that way. So that ended up me getting a prison sentence because somebody took something. Remember, having things on your own. Somebody took something from me, so we was retaliating. And before that, praise God, I had about murder on my mind about 3 times with this same mentality. Somebody took something, I wanted to kill him. I hunted for him for about 2 weeks. I couldn't find him by the grace of God. You know, in other instances, just being in a fight in a club and one of my friends getting offended and I want to go to the car and get the gun because I handle things on my own, you know. But I'm going to speed you up for the sake of time. When I was in prison, it wasn't many resources, but the reason for my change was Jesus Christ. I got to give credit to him first off. But then I began to evaluate my life, you know, and I planned for when I get out. So when I got out, obviously I've done the things that I named. I'm here right now speaking before you because of those passions and that change. But when I look back at my problems, right, I look at the problems I had. What could have helped me? What could have deterred me from all of those things I went through? I wish we had enough time for me to talk about it, you know. And when I look back at it, I'm looking at resources, alternatives, because I was young and full of passion. You know, somebody offended me, I was passionate. You hardly ever see 40, 50-year-olds get real passionate and argue, but you see a lot of kids get real passionate and argue. And think about this, the immaturity, because we treat them like adults, but the immaturity level, 14, 15, 16, they're not mature enough to get married, even if they want to, you know. So we know the immaturity there. So how could we change this passion that's in them? You know, even corporations, they use the young because they're very passionate and changing and push for innovation. So how could we do that? And I look at it and I say, well, look at the schools. That's the biggest place where all the students are at. I mean, all the kids are at, they're in school. And there's many things I want to say, but I know I'm going to quit in a minute. There's many suggestions I got, but I want to make this one suggestion with the kids. A lot of them, when they display antisocial behaviors like me, they were put in remedial classes. I got a 3.96 GPA right now. So in a sense, school failed me because it said I was a slow learning kid because of my antisocial behavior. Somebody offended me, I offended them back. So that's a problem. So then, not only that, when they display antisocial behaviors, we send them to what they call programs or mini prisons or young prisons. And this is the breeding ground for gangs. And I say, how could we affect that? How could we affect that arena? Because it's a controlled environment. So we should be able to control the manifest function. So you telling me that the programs is breeding, the government itself is breeding gang members because it's a controlled environment. So I say as many things I want to say, as many stories I can tell probably bring tears to your eyes. But for the sake of time, I'm just here displaying my story, letting you know I did 11 and a half years of prison. Armed robbery with a firearm, 2 accounts. I had an SK, right? It wasn't even regular, it was an SK. Automatic rifle, you know. And I was willing to take somebody's life at one point. But look at me now. Look at the progress. Look where I'm going. So I got hope for the kids. I understand where they're coming from. Some of them, just like me, I was just looking for a way out. So how could we create an alternative? Because somebody that nothing to lose, they have nothing to lose. And a lot of them feel like they ain't got nothing to lose because they don't see the alternative. It wasn't a reality to go to college where I was from. That was like far-fetched. We believe in going to the NFL, which is even more fun. We believe more than that than going to just Santa Fe College and getting a career. So I think I've held y'all long enough. I think I expressed my heart enough. And this is just the beginning for me. And I hope that y'all take this journey with me. So thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. I met Adrian catching an Uber to City Hall about 6 months ago. And we got engaged into a conversation in that very brief ride in which he was very candid. about his experience. He shared with me in that brief ride that he had done 11 years in prison. And when he shared his story, I asked him, Adrian, do you have any friends just like you? And he said yes. He brought those friends right here to City Hall, and we convened in the small meeting room in the back, probably about 3 times. And we talked about their vision. We talked about their desire to contribute now to the good. They want to be a part of the solution now instead of a part of the problem. And so I tip my hat to Adrian. It was a pleasure to invite him here today, because this is going to be one of the ways that we will begin to move the needle forward on addressing gun violence. As I've had conversations with young people in the community asking them what it would take to keep a gun out of their hand, what it would take to keep them out of gangs, what it would take to keep them safe from gun violence, I have heard these things. I have heard places to go, things to do, mentors, and jobs. You pretty much heard all of that encapsulated in what Adrian said. And so today, as we prepare for the remaining parts of this meeting, I want us to kind of keep that in the back of our minds, because that's pretty much a direct quote from the young people in Alachua County. I think it should be something that guides the work that we begin to do. I'm looking around and I see that Dr. Brody has joined us from Santa Fe. Dr. Brody, that's your product. That's a part of. I also see Eric Lawson, CEO of HCA, North Florida. He works for you, Eric. Thank you. I have to say thank you to you two as organizations for educating and hiring Adrian and people who've had experiences like that. That is the way we begin to, this is this personified. This is what it looks like. We cannot be afraid to take chances because we see what can happen as a result. I believe that's just the beginning. Thank you again, Adrian, and thank you very much. Okay, I do want to take this moment, if I may, Commissioner Chestnut, if you don't mind, because we do have people who thought so much of us in this conversation today, who I'm hoping will come on as institutional partners. A couple of us told me that they already will. Just to take a few moments to allow them to stand right now and be acknowledged. Dr. Brody, can we start with you? Dr. Brody, Santa Fe Community College. Santa Fe College, excuse me. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Thank you. Did you want to say anything, Dr. Brody? You're certainly welcome.
Never give a president a microphone. All right. I see there's 3 minutes here, but I'm going to be very brief. First of all, thank you for this. Santa Fe College is so committed to this community, and I'm going to say this. We're focused on helping our youth in particular, but helping everyone put down the guns and pick up the books.
That's it.
And we're going to produce more Adrians. We're embarking on several initiatives, and one of those initiatives is very new. It's called Free to Learn, where we're going to be working very closely with those that are about to be released and give them a glimmer of hope and opportunity. We're going to train these individuals in a skill so that these individuals have viable life skills to be sustainable, producing individuals to our community, and have a fruitful life. The more education an individual has, the less likely they are to reoffend, and the data says that. They also will inspire other individuals. So we're very focused on that. As you know, in partnership with the school district, we've gotten very engaged in the school district, embedding ourselves in the district through our SF Achieve program, and giving those opportunities, those 4 points you mentioned, which is making sure that they have a place to go. And we believe Santa Fe is a place to go.
Absolutely.
Giving them the internship opportunities, working with our partners like HSA and UF Health, giving students those, or individuals, those opportunities for internships. We're fully committed to uplifting our entire city of Gainesville through the power of education. And we stand shoulder to shoulder with you and this entire community as we roll out new programs that directly address the challenges that we face as a community and provide our youth the great opportunities that exist here and beyond. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Eric Lawson, HCA North Florida. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. So for North Florida Hospital, not only do we partner with our local law enforcement and helping care for those that are in crisis, I think we agree that really finding meaningful work and starting early in our youth's lives. So not only do we provide scholarships and partner with Santa Fe College, we're also beginning to partner with Inspire Academy as well as Gainesville Opportunity Center to try to really develop careers in healthcare. And I think that's a big part, as we're one of the largest employers in Gainesville. We see that as a great opportunity to create meaningful employment and to create that kind of environment. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So I have these glasses on and they are prescription, and sometimes I have to take them off to see. I'm going to ask that any more of our institutional partners or those, I'm looking right back at Belita, who is from the Children's Trust. Belita, would you like to come and say just a couple of words? Did I put you on the spot? I'm sure I did. You're more than able.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here on behalf of the Children's Trust, and we are ready and willing to support in any way and be with you, alongside you. I'm here to learn more about the city's vision, about combating city violence, and I'm here to learn. I'm happy to be here for the Trust. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I see Mr. Carl Smart representing the County Manager's Office. Did you want to step forward and say a few words, Mr. Smart?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to the Public Safety Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to come over and discuss with you this vital problem that's happening in our communities. The county stands ready to partner with the City of Gainesville, with Santa Fe College, with North Florida, with the school district, with Children's Trust and other partners. What happens a lot here in the City of Gainesville then spreads out to the unincorporated area and to our small towns and cities around. There's 8 other cities around here, and they're experiencing a lot of the same problems with our youth and gun violence in this community. It's going to take a village, and we are stand ready to partner with you to help address this issue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Smart. Absolutely. Absolutely. I see Chief Chad Scott. We're so grateful for everybody. I wanted to just take this time to allow everyone who wanted to take a few moments to just say something, and please forgive me if I do not see you and you need to throw your hand up in the air. Please feel free to do that.
Good evening. I'm absolutely happy to be here on behalf of Sheriff Clovis Watson Jr. and the undersheriff, but I think the main thing here is that we listen. This guy was just up here talking, and he expressed the need to be a college player and the opportunities that he didn't have that drove him to doing what he was doing. The thing that stuck out to me is that he was looking for a job. He wanted to find a job, he wanted to find work, but he couldn't find work. So when we think about helping and we talk about gun violence and we talk about what we need to do to help, these are some of the things that we need to really focus on, is that talking to these kids and listening. What is the problem? What are you experiencing? So I'm deeply rooted here. I'm here on behalf of the City of Gainesville as well to help wherever I can help and to do what we can do to solve this problem, because it's a huge problem. I mean, it's getting worse. If you hadn't looked around and you hadn't hadn't looked around and heard what's going on, but it's getting worse. So listen, we have to listen at this guy, where his problems were. He dreamed of playing football. How do we get to college? Through academics, through athletics, right? We get there, but we get it done. So it's different strokes for different folks, and it's no matter how we get there, as long as we get there. I'm one of them. I'm a result of athletics that led me to a college degree. And, you know, so I've had a pretty good life. So we just have to listen. And when we listen, we have to help. Not talk about it, but be about it. Let's help. So I'm here. That's what I want to do. This is a good forum, and we need to hear more of that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chief Scott. Under Sheriff DeCourcy, did you want to stand for? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of Sheriff Clovis Watson Jr., send his regards and regrets, but we're here to collaborate with you. Whatever we could do, have a vested interest in this community, born and raised here, all about 63 years, seen family members, friends, classmates succumb to gun violence. So this is not just a phenomenon just in this community. It's been going on for years. It's a national phenomenon. We have to listen to our children. Being a police chief times 2 and a city manager, you just talk to a former chief. We've seen it. We have to listen, and we have to start here. And not only just listen, we have to do something to make sure our children have a fighting chance. One size does not fit all. We can't arrest our way out of this, so we have to sit here and make sure we listen and have patience for these young people, because they're trying. They're really trying. We just got to be here for them. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you, Under Sheriff. Thank you very much. I see Pastor LaShawn Young from the faith community. We felt you when you walked in. If we didn't see you, we certainly felt you. Pastor Young, did you want to offer a few words?
Good afternoon, and thank you, Madam Mayor. It is a blessing to be here. And of course, I represent the Women in Ministry Network, female pastors, and of course, we are concerned about our young people, and we're concerned about what's happening in our community. And so we are ready to do whatever we can to assist in this, because we know that many of the persons that are involved, they're not sitting in our pews are singing in our choir, and so that means that we need to be able to go into the community and help. And so however we can help, I am here and glad to be here and to share with the women in ministry how we can be involved.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, Pastor. All right. Have I overlooked anyone? Overlooked any community partner or anyone who wishes to stand and say just a few words? All right. Yes, ma'am. Miss Faye, Mama's Club, and longtime community activist.
Thank you so much for having this this forum, this open forum, where we can really talk and let it out. I'm Faye Williams. I'm a community organizer. I live over in Porter's Quarters, and I want to tell you one story. Well, I want to tell you two stories, but it'll be short. Sometimes when I can't sleep, I walk around Porter's Quarters, and one day there was a woman crying behind the center. She was a homeless woman with 4 kids. So we were able to get a hotel room for her for 2 days. And so that was good. That was the positive side. And then probably 2 weeks later, I was walking, and I heard someone crying out. And I thought, oh, my God, it's the woman with the 4 kids. But I went back, and there were 11 or 12 girls fighting. They were beating down because they were gangsters. They call themselves gangsters. And I didn't know that we had gangsters, girl gangsters in Gainesville. And I've done some research and talked to a few folks. So we got a girls gangster out in Duval, we got one in Porters, and we have one over in Sugar Hill. I'm sure the law enforcement people know this and know that it's increasing. I only know about the 3 because they have started coming to my house and talking to me. They were beating her down because that's part of the initiation. And so she had to be, they had a line, and she had to go through the line, and they would punch her. They would punch her. I tried to stop it, but they told me to go home. And one of the girls lived over in Porter's, and I looked in her eyes, she looked at me, and she was embarrassed. And 3 or 4 days later, she came over to me, to my house, and sat on the porch with me. And she came to apologize for being part of the gang. And I told her, you don't need to really apologize to me. You need to apologize to your mom. Why were you out there? You know, you're in, what, I guess you're 16, and I was walking maybe around 12:30 or 1. You should have been in bed, not outside fighting another girl. She said, I don't apologize to my mom because my mom don't care about me. You're the only person over here that I can really confide in and really trust. And so I said, well, okay. When did you join the gang? I'm thinking this is something new. She's 16. She says she started talking to people when she was in 15 at school. So they use the school girls to form these groups, and then you graduate from that group when you go through initiation, and that's when you become a gangster. I asked her, I said, is there anything that we could do to get you out of being a gangster? And she said, no. I said, do you have anywhere you can go over the summer, just to go for the summer? Then she told me that there's another girl who lives over in Porter's, which I couldn't believe. Now I'm talking about AB students. AB students, okay? They're at that point. They're at that point because what they're seeing at home, when the boyfriend is beating up the mom, so we need to talk about domestic violence. That leads to the guns because she wanted to kill her mom's boyfriend. And she had access to guns. So, make a long story short, we were able to get those 2 out of Porter's. We raised the money. Thank God Porter's Quarters raised the money. We didn't ask anybody. We raised the money. When I knocked on the doors and told them what was happening, they gave $50. They gave $25. We got them. We got one who went to Atlanta to live with her niece. We got another who went to Savannah to live with her niece. With her auntie. So I guess what I'm talking about, we need to really concentrate. We got to talk about the guns. I'm a member of Moms Demand Action, so I know about the guns. I know what that's about. But we also got to talk about mental health because a lot of our kids are acting out because they're depressed, they're angry, they see what's happening right in front of them, they don't have enough jobs, and when you talk about going to school, that's fuzzy to them because they're only thinking about day to day. So we need more jobs for our youth. We need to be able to pay them so they can have $50 in their pocket. So I guess I'll just end by saying thank you again for having this, but you need to have more circles in the community. So maybe, and also if we had the centers open on the weekend, Sunday and Monday. Porter's Quarters, the center closes on Friday at 6 o'clock. Okay? Maybe if that center was open on Saturday, maybe some of those gangsters would have sat down and talked with me instead of coming to my house talking to me. So I'm asking for us to open the centers, be available, and just listen to our young people. Listen, listen, listen. And that's so important because they know when you're not listening to them. You call a meeting and then you start talking and you keep talking and keep talking like what I'm doing right now. They know you're not listening. So I'm going to sit down, Desmond. But thank you so much, and thank you, Commissioner Chestnut. Thank you so much for having this forum.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
May.
you.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Chestnut.
Thank you.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I think we've heard from the community. I wonder if we want to hear from our own chief before we proceed?
Absolutely, we can. I know they have a presentation that they're going to make a little bit later, but sure. Chief Scott, did you want to come and say anything?
Or if he wants to say it later, that's fine.
Good afternoon, fellow commissioners. And it's, for me, it's good to see what we've been trying to push for the last couple of years and really started under Chief Jones, and that the concept that the gun violence that we have is not a law enforcement problem, but a community problem. And it's going to take all of us working in unison to address it. You know, we work continuously with the Sheriff's Office and with a lot of the entities here, with Dr. Brody and his folks, and you know, we're proud to say we have new initiatives. We have Damon Smith, who has the BOW program, and it's really reaching out for folks just like this and putting them into Santa Fe and other programs, reaching out for those type of folks to say, hey, there are alternatives. And because that's the thing that's more for us that we've identified, that we have to present alternatives for these folks so that they can go out and have a better life. It's sad that the law enforcement officer, one of the hardest things that it takes for us to do, it's hard for us to go knock on the door and tell a parent that their kid's never gonna come home again. And anything that we can do to avoid that is what we're doing today. We have initiatives that involve Santa Fe. We have initiatives that involve the school system here, Alachua County School Board. We're trying to get in with these folks, and it was pointed out earlier that education is really one of the primary keys or distinguishing factors between the folks that are out there actively engaged in this type of activity. It is not something specific to Gainesville. This is the national dynamic. It's something that if you pay attention to local news and national news, there's always a shooting, and typically it involves a lot of folks that look like us. And we have to be honest about that and start to look at what can we do to make a difference. And I think the first thing we have to do is get involved. And I'm happy to see the commission, commissioners in particular, actively involved in this and getting the community actively involved, because the first thing before we can solve any problem is identify that we do have a problem. And I think all of us acknowledge that we have a problem with gun violence, and we have to work together, put aside egos, put aside all these other outside factors, and look at the fact that the kids or the young adults' life that we may save may be one of our blood relatives. So let's work together, and thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Chief Scott. And know that it was not an oversight. We know you're going to make a presentation a little bit later on. Plus, you belong to us. We had to put our guests first. But since we have done that, let's bring the fire chief forward. Chief Dixon.
Bless your heart. You must have felt my spirit, but I thought it was already, it was up, the time had passed. Good afternoon to the commission, city manager, all of our neighbors. As I was sitting back there, for those of you who don't, some of you, I'm sure you do, I grew up in the city of Baltimore. And part of, if you've watched, there's a great series that, you know, most people call it from a media standpoint, award-winning, The Wire. I grew up in the time of The Wire. And so I lived that. And if it wasn't, you know, I hope I don't offend anyone, but God, like the young man said, I was arrested. But thankfully, back during that time, we still had people that had character enough to say it wasn't his. But when you're in a neighborhood, we're talking about a lot of things, but it comes down to, as the city manager, she gave me homelessness. And you do your research, because this is tied to research. And it's the social determinants of health, the social determinants of crime, the social determinants of homelessness. They all intersect, which means that it can't just be the police department. We now have a city health director. And all these things come together. So growing up in Baltimore, I still look back and I look at some of the, Chief Scott, what he just said, education is the key. You know, so thankfully I had a family, a mother, a sister, made my brothers and sisters read to me. I went to what they call magnet schools. I still wanted to be a thug because that's what was cool. You know, you look at, man, the people that had and that did things, you're like, man, that's all right. Even though, you know, I had to go to church, man, 5 times a week, you know, which is another one of those things, those influences. But, you know, the thing is to make sure our youth, part of those things is education, access to employment, healthcare, all these things that drive some decisions that people make. When I know that I have to, I want these nice things, how am I going to get it? Because everybody, we did at midnight basketball, I asked a room full of young men and women, what are you going to do? They all raised their hand and said, I'm going to be a professional football or professional basketball player. And so I had to give them the probabilities, the odds of when you go from basically high school to college, how many people drop off. When you go from college to the pros, how many people, and then even with that, how many people become bankrupt after 3 to 5 years. So, this is a great opportunity in conjunction with our law enforcement office, our public health officials, and everybody else. We are so glad to be at the table to help make this better and to bring hope and light to young men and young women that want to do better. So thank you so much for that, ma'am.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Chief Dixon. And thank you, everyone in the room. This is all hands on deck. And I like to think of this as sort of the clarion call. This is the beginning of, I believe, a web, if you will, of interconnectedness between agencies and organizations, whether you are municipal government, whether you are law enforcement, whether you are community-based organizations. It is going to take every single one of us with a single mantra. And we'll figure that out as we move forward in meetings down the line, what that mantra will be. But this is the beginning. This is the ground floor, and I'm so grateful that you're all here. So with that, Madam Clerk, our next order of business.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next, the first business discussion item is 2023-547, Gun Violence Action Plan Outline, with the recommendation for the Public Safety Committee to discuss and take action deemed necessary.
Thank you very much. I believe Morgan Spicer is going to come and talk to us a little bit about a gun violence action plan outline. And ladies and gentlemen, as you take a look at this, please know that this is just a draft. Right now, one of the benefits of being in on anything at the ground floor is that you have the opportunity to impact what this is. But we're grateful that Morgan has been able to pull together this draft outline for us. And Morgan, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioner. So yes, I'm Morgan Spicer. I'm the Policy Oversight Administrator, and I am here today to walk you all through this draft of a gun violence action plan outline. So the intention of this document is to be a high-level document that provides an overall strategy that the city and other institutional and regional partners can take in order to create, kind of as has been discussed, a unified approach to gun violence prevention efforts. So this action plan also provides a path towards fulfilling the direction that was given by the Commission earlier this year that Commissioner Duncan Walker alluded to, related to declaring gun violence a public health crisis and taking action on that. So the end goal of this outline is for the city and other institutional partners to develop a gun violence action plan that contain more detailed and actionable strategies and commitments regarding how the region can reduce gun violence. So the first and second items in this outline are relatively simple, and they discuss what was discussed earlier, which is this Gainesville City Commission passing a resolution declaring gun violence a public health crisis, and then a request that the Alachua County Board of County Commissioners pass a mirror resolution. The next portion is that the City of Gainesville establish a website presence related to gun violence prevention action plan efforts to share relevant information and opportunities for involvement. And this has already been put into motion, I believe, by the communications team with the Gun Violence Prevention Initiative section on the city website. This next portion is kind of the bulk of this outline, which is a gun violence prevention task force being convened. So the purpose of this task force is to establish actions that partner institutions can take to reduce gun violence. Because this is such a large issue that, as we've talked about, it really spans many different disciplines, we have subdivided this up into a few different subsections, focusing on youth opportunity, expanded healthcare and mental health care, crisis management systems, education, and law enforcement. That's not intended to be an exhaustive list, but New York City did release a blueprint to end gun violence, and this is really modeled off of that, and it takes similar subtopics. And then, as mentioned, the goal of this task force is for the task force to come up with recommendations that ultimately create a gun violence action plan to establish really explicit intervention and prevention policy proposals across relevant institutions within the Gainesville and Alachua County region. So in regards to a list of partners, we've heard from many of them today. The Alachua County Board of County Commissioners, the Alachua County Health Department, the Alachua County Manager's Office, the Alachua County School Board and Superintendent, the Alachua County Sheriff's Office, the City of Gainesville, Children's Trust, the Gainesville Community Resource Paramedicine Program, Gainesville Police Department, HCA, Interrupters, One Nation, One Project, Randall VA Medical Center, Santa Fe College, University of Florida Shands, and then, of course, other organizations and especially community groups as needed. As mentioned, we have sort of subdivided into where these various institutional partners fit in relation to youth opportunity, health and mental health care, crisis management systems, education, and law enforcement. The intention is for these to not become siloed approaches and rather to allow, subject matter experts within these various topics to provide recommendations related to their areas of expertise, but any action plan would require interaction between, for example, healthcare and education or youth opportunity and law enforcement. All of these would still intersect. That being said, for task force, there are a variety of logistics involved, and so we've outlined a couple of the questions that would ultimately need to be discussed by institutional partners cooperating in the task force, including staffing and the frequency of task force meetings. There needs to be a balance to ensure that meetings are frequent enough that progress can be made, but also people's schedules are very busy, so it can be difficult to get everyone in the same room. And then also authorities of the task force and what the task force would be able to direct from city or county staff or whatever institutional partner we're discussing. And then based on that task force, the end goal, as mentioned, is that a gun violence action plan is established with explicit data collection metrics. And then as necessary, these institutional partners enter into interlocal agreements to commit to the action plan and outlining their specific roles and commitments based on the recommendations of the action plan. So that is the summary of what I have for you today. Again, this is, as you mentioned, first meant to be a draft and then also ultimately just meant to be an outline of how we get to these goals that we've discussed today. But I'm happy to take any feedback or answer any questions.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Morgan. Commissioner Chestnut, I think that between you and I, obviously, we can certainly discuss things, but one of the benefits that we have a lot of the individuals that are on that list who actually can be very instrumental in giving us some guidance, too, about what their availability is. Now, I know that we are going to have to take back to the commission, most likely, the impaneling, if you will, of this task force. So you'll recall back several months ago, this was a part of the motion that I put forward that was supported unanimously, that we actually create this force, but we've got to put the underpinnings to it. So when we start thinking about that, how many people are going to be on this task force? What organizations will be represented? How does that get done? I can tell you that in some of the research that I have done, I have seen task force that have been large. And I don't have a problem with that. The reason that I don't have a problem with it is because the problem is large. And plus, there are a number of organizations who are coming to the table with skills and expertise in this area. It would be very hard to pare this down to say what I've seen the commission kind of like our committees to be and other organizations that we put together be 9, et cetera. I don't envision this task force being that size, but I do envision it being something that really is able to represent the community, its organizations, and its institutional partners. Any thoughts?
Yes, thank you. And thank you for taking the leadership on this. So I think if I could just dissect this just a little bit. So let me go back and maybe Mr. Smart can answer this for me. But I'm not sure if the county commission has, okay, I'm going back to the motion from February 2nd. And that is the city commission approved a motion that declared gun violence as a public health crisis in the city of Gainesville.
And Commissioner, if you would, Jatoya, would you kindly, are you able
Put
to
it on
put
the
that
board.
up
On the screen.
on the screen for everyone to see? Thank you.
Yeah, that'll work.
If we could get the overhead, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so if we could just go through it and see where we are. So let's go to 2. Did the mayor send the letter yet to the county commission?
He did.
Okay.
And
so
the
that's-
county has agreed to come on, and they are mirroring our resolution.
Okay, but they haven't as of yet.
They have.
They have? Okay.
If I may, I don't believe the resolution has been passed yet. I believe that
Okay.
you all
Yes, that's
declared
why I asked
gun
for
violence a
Mr.
public health
Smart.
crisis,
Thank
and we
you.
have a resolution drafted, but it has not been passed yet.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was my reason for asking for the county representative, Mr. Smart, to answer that. It may be coming up on your agenda, but it hasn't been done at this point.
I think that's correct, Commissioner. Carl Smart, Alachua County Deputy Manager. Yeah, the resolution is coming up, and as soon as it is passed, we'll make sure we notify the City of Gainesville.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we're waiting on that. All right, so then what we have to do is take back to the city commission the recommendation, and then the city commission will decide whether or not they want to take this, whether the city is going to take the leadership on it as a task force, or maybe the Children's Trust, or I don't know who will take it.
I envision the city taking this.
I think we
on.
have to go
Yeah,
back to them.
Absolutely.
As
Go
a-
back to the commission
It must
Okay.
go back to the commission, then the commission
to
has to.
decide who takes the leadership?
No, it has to go back to the commission for the commission to decide, 1, if they're going to adopt this as a task force. It has to go back, because they need to be brought up to date as to where we are and what we are doing. So it has to, I think everything has to go back to the city commission.
Let me make sure I'm clear on what you're
Okay.
saying. So in the motion, we said that we were going to adopt the creation of a task force. So
Right.
what are you saying has to go back?
That, we said we were going to adopt a task force. The city commission has not received anything else beyond that. I don't think we've been back to them since February 2nd.
No, we haven't.
So we have to go back and to bring them up to date as to where we are now, that we would like to establish a task force, and you have to talk about the task force and what that will envision, and then the city has to decide whether or not they want to take it on as another.
The county? The county has to decide?
The city commission is going to have to, do you want the county to be take the leadership?
No. I excuse me, because what's a little confusing to me, and I understand we do have to go back to the commission, not to decide if we're taking this on, because that's what we've already said, correct?
No, I think, you see, I think it was in the planning. I think the city commission now must see how this baby is being birthed.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it has to go way back. You have to take it back. See, just as the city commission adopted and endorsed the Cultural Arts Coalition and 8th Avenue and Waldo Road, we had many discussions. So it has to go back to them for them to endorse it and to say that this is a project that the city commission will take on, and I could see them doing that as something that they would probably
fine.
put
That's
with
fine.
the police department.
Okay, what about the police department?
It's probably where the city would place this.
Oh, okay. Well, so I don't know about that, because in what I have seen and doing a little bit of research about these kinds of task forces, they can be done in a few different ways. And some of them are done through police departments, but because I was very intentional in making this a community effort, I think we need to be mindful of that. They also come out of mayor's offices and they come out of managers' offices. So we don't have a strong mayor, and it should not come out of the mayor's office, in my opinion, because we're just not set up that way, but it could very well, and I am actually seeing it more logically coming out of the city manager's office.
Okay, so if it comes out of, we're just having a little family discussion. So,
This is what it's all about.
so if it comes out of the city manager's office, then the city manager can delegate it to one of her departments.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. So all of this has to go back. The city commission has to hear this, be able to discuss it, and be able to filter it out.
For
So-
sure, that I understand. I think where I was lacking some clarity was, we had said we were going to do a task force, but we have to take back what that task force is. That part, I understand. I just was trying to make sure we weren't going back with, can we do a task force? No, we said we were doing a task force, it's just the how.
And the city may decide that they want to do the how, or they do not want to do the how.
Okay.
So that's where it is.
That's fine. I fully believe that we have the support of the commission to push this forward for a number of reasons. I think that they see the urgency of the matter, the severity of the matter, and also we're not doing anything new. This would be something that is being adopted by various municipalities across this country. So I certainly hope that our colleagues, I believe we have at least 4 votes on that.
All right, well, we will see, and then
Yeah.
they will decide how they want to tackle it.
For sure.
But we go back. So maybe we can, so if I could make a motion.
You may.
Thank you. I'd like to move that the Public Safety Committee bring back to the City Commission an update on the gun violence task force and an update on the February 2nd, 2023, I'm looking at her to see if she's typing, February 2nd, 2023 motion that was passed, an update, and then where we are.
For sure, absolutely.
commission.
Second, I will
Thank
definitely
you.
second that. Okay.
Hopefully, I want to add one more
Yeah,
thing.
sure.
Hopefully, we're getting ready to go on recess. I hope we can get our report back to them prior to going on recess.
Right.
When is our last
What is
meeting?
the last
This meeting, actually, if I might intervene, is Thursday, June
well.
15th. And so I believe our next meeting would be in July. Is it the 20th or 21st?
July 20th.
So that would be the next meeting of the commission, beyond Thursday's meeting.
Right. Yeah, I don't,
Is July, is June 15th a regular meeting?
Yes, ma'am, Thursday.
Well, you could always have it added to the agenda.
could, I guess. Well, let's do that, because I don't think, yeah. Let's go ahead and put it on that meeting. We don't really have a choice there. Okay,
So the clerk's office will
agenda that, please.
be notified that we'd like to get this on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else?
No, that's it. That's
Okay.
it.
All right. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the people that are in the room. I'd like to talk a little bit about, can you, Jertoya, pull that list up that we had before of the partners?
You can scroll up a little bit.
There we go. Sure. This is not an exhaustive list, Ms. Faye. As a matter of fact, it's quite vague. It's just the beginning. Mama's Club and a whole lot of other clubs, okay? So we're looking at these institutional and community partners here. As Morgan expressed a little bit earlier, this isn't nearly, exhaustive, but I want us to start thinking in how we extend an invitation, what that looks like, because I am personally uncomfortable with saying, here are our partners. I don't think that that's how we need to do this. I think that an invitation gets extended to the community to serve on this task force. Criteria have to be created, a whole list of, this will not happen in this conversation today, but I want us just to start thinking about the need to establish that criteria and how we will bring people into this. I think a lot of these organizations here had expressed interest before, and frankly, there were people that I had spoken with because they either were already a part of the city, had started doing this work, their organizations who I knew were interested in this work, and so that is why they're up there on this list. But I think understanding how to bring folks into this body of work is also important, a criteria.
Okay, so if I may? Sure. At the June 15th meeting, that needs to be a request also. Because is this something you would want the mayor to extend? an invitation?
Absolutely.
So I think that needs to be part of the request to the commission. when
It does.
comes back.
And I think too, because one of the things I don't really want us to have to hash out everything here at the dais. It would be helpful if staff could assist us in helping to get the underpinnings of this kind of together. I'm looking down at the manager, because I think, we could be here and have a very lengthy conversation about how to put a task force together, when I don't think that that's what we need to do necessarily at this meeting. This is a huge effort that's going to take some time and some coordination, and I don't know that all of that happens from here. I think what we can do, though, is perhaps have staff take a look at what they've done before with regards to the creation of task forces, and I know that predates me sitting here at the dais. But if there are, I know we've done committees, and the committee structure probably needs to be a little different from this.
Okay, so this is the vision of the Public Safety Committee. So I think the Public Safety Committee has to come forward with the vision fleshed out.
Absolutely, okay.
So I think we have to.
Okay, you want to flesh it out? So yeah.
I think it has to come from the committee.
It'll definitely, absolutely, I hear you. As a recommendation, we can, for sure. So that'll be another meeting that we have to have. This isn't going to happen, do you envision this happening today?
Well, Madam Chair, I don't know. I have to leave at 3.
And so that's why I said that. That's exactly why I said this will be another meeting. This will be another meeting.
Okay.
Okay? So I am fine with this taking a little bit of time. Okay? But what I don't want to do, I want to make sure that we come back to the next meeting with this already understanding that this is what we're going to be doing.
Okay, so, right. The vision, just as you had the vision for cultural arts, you fleshed that out. You did that. Eighth and Waldo.
Actually, I did do that, but staff was also involved in that. That went through the policy process.
Okay, so 8th and Waldo, as you know, is my baby. So wherever it develops, I have to keep pushing forward my vision for it so that it stays on track. So that's what we've got to do here.
For sure, and we will. I just want to make sure that, let's just do it like this, Commissioner. At the next meeting, we will agenda a thorough discussion. What I will do is, prior to that discussion, put some things in the backup for us to consider, okay? So that when we come to that next discussion, it's very clear about what it is we're going to be discussing and how we can push that forward.
Right,
Okay.
and hopefully Commissioner Sacco would be able to be here so we can have a full committee. Now, so then, I think we still need to provide an update to the commission on the 15th.
Absolutely, and I think that's definitely possible.
If I may, Mayor
Yes.
Pro Tem. I am hearing that Thursday's agenda is a little bit long. They are saying we do have the June 22nd GPC, if you'd like to get something in before recess.
We could do that.
GPC is fine.
Excellent.
GPC is fine. Okay. What was that date again, June?
22nd. June 22nd.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, I'm writing that down, June 22nd.
All right. Do we have anything else? Did you have anything else there?
If I might,
Yes, ma'am.
so for the 15th, which is Thursday, there will be an update?
Oh, yeah, an update.
There's still going to be an
Yes.
update on the 15th?
Yes.
And that update will be provided through the clerk's office? I'm asking, because I want to be clear in terms of,
Mayor Pro Tem. I was under, are we going to switch it to GPC
I don't
instead
know, I
of
just
the?
want to,
I am hearing that the 15th is, the agenda is a bit packed.
So
It's the
15th
last.
is-
Yeah.
I'm going to do that one.
No,
Yeah.
no, we're going to go to GPC.
Okay,
We're
I
going
just
to
want to be
GPC.
sure. All right.
Okay.
And
Which
prior
is
to
the
the
22nd.
GPC on the 22nd, Madam Chair, I think the clerk's office, Morgan's office, the clerk's office, who's generally the staff around the committee system, right? We can work with them and maybe try to put some meat around some ideas.
Okay, that's fine, and I'll work with you.
Okay.
All right.
Now, forgot that.
Did you have anything else, Commissioner Chestnut?
No, so that's the following Thursday.
It
Okay.
is.
All right. Good.
All right, so I think Morgan, I want to thank you for that draft. And thank you all for sitting with us as we hashed through that. Okay? But this is the fruits of starting something brand new. I believe we're ready to move on to the next item. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before we move on, can I have Commissioner Chestnut repeat the motion? Just so I can make sure I have the wording.
All right, the Public Safety Committee will bring an update to the City Commission on June 15th regarding
No, it's the 22nd.
June 22nd.
GPC.
June 22nd regarding the February 2nd, 2023 Commission motion regarding gun violence as a public health crisis in the city of Gainesville. Then you would want to list all of the components of that motion.
Okay.
Got it? Thank you. All right.
Okay, our next item?
All right, our next item is 2023-550, Gainesville Police Department update on interrupters program with a recommendation for the Public Safety Committee to hear the update.
All right, thank you very much. Chief Jones, greatly appreciate you for coming to do this presentation.
Attempt to do what staff has said. I'm Tony Jones. And before I start, you got Michelle Coughlin here from the Florida Department of Corrections and Probation, and she has worked diligently with us as far as prevention and intervention when we start dealing with a population. So I just had to acknowledge her because she has really been assisting throughout the years. The other partner, when you all start looking, is the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice. They need to be a part, because when you start saying you're dealing with individuals that may be engaged in some of this activity, those two agencies can identify and also assist.
Absolutely.
And
Thank
so they'll
you very
assist me
much.
with this as well. So I just wanted to say she wasn't going to say anything, but I was going to say it.
Thank you for being here.
Okay. What I would like to do today is talk a little bit about our Inspire program. And before I start off, I will tell you that my administration and myself brought this program to Gainesville. We kind of looked around. We were looking at something that was evidence-based. We knew we had a crisis within this community, and so we were fortunate to get a legislative funding request in January of 2021. It was extended, and this program is slated to end June the 30th, in 2 weeks of this year. So I wanted to start off by saying that it was the amount of $230,000. I think 100 some of it was used for 105 for salaries. The other rest was for equipment. But I want to kind of give you an update of what they have did with that.
So it ends June 30th?
Yes, ma'am. It ends June the 30th. And the positions were 4 part-time positions. The exact amount was $140,000 was for the positions, and $90,000 was for laptop computers, mobile device, and training for that particular staff.
Chief, is that in this presentation?
No, ma'am, but I can get
Could
you a copy of the.
Please.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
very much.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, let's start off with it. It's called Inspire. And Caleb Young, which I have back in the back, he probably can ask a little bit more better questions than that, but I'm going to walk through it. But I brought this to Gainesville for a reason. Been in law enforcement a long time. We're reactive. I'll say it again. We wait until a crime comes, and then we go and try to solve the crime. And we say, okay, that's the old traditional way. But I know my colleagues back here, we're proactive now. We don't want to wait. What can we do preventive-wise to address this issue before it even happened? And so we kind of had a paradigm shift in law enforcement around the nation. And this was one of the programs that we looked at. So the next slide, please. I didn't know how else to do it. The team is a multi-disciplinary team, and the mission was, again, collaborative case management on preventive violence by identifying, mediating potential lethal conflicts in the community. So that's violence detection, interruption, and follow-up. So we wanted to try to detect violence before it actually occurs. Next slide. This is our why, and I know it's a graphic picture, but this is Gainesville. Everything you see there is individuals that have been impacted by gun violence. When we start looking at this year, we've had up to May the 20th, 21 individuals have been shot in Gainesville, just in the city limits, 21 individuals. Now, 2 of those were self-inflicted, and we had 5 homicides so far, 52 reports where we actually came out and investigated of shots fired in Gainesville. 52. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I got the crime analyst back here, so she's kind of keeping me in line there.
Chief, so,
We're going to pause for a question, Chief.
Yes.
so of that 21, were any of them teenagers? Could you give us the age range?
I don't have the age range, but yes, ma'am, some of them were teenagers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next slide. So when you start looking at the framework, we looked at Cure Violence, but Cure Violence was cost prohibitive for Gainesville. Cure Violence is a national organization. We did some collaboration with them, but it was more of taking a concept and contouring it to the needs of Gainesville. And so what we did was the main thrust of the program is to interrupt the transmission of violence. We look at violence in a medical model. We look at it in a medical model. So we want to stop violence events before they happen. The next thing that we wanted to do was identify and change the thinking of the highest potential transmitter of violence and reduce the number of violent individuals. Cure Violence call them carriers of violence. I don't call them that. I say individuals that have a propensity to engage in violent activity. The next thing that we wanted to do was to influence and change community norms. So many communities in Gainesville, when we bought this here, this was before we started doing our community collaboration with Chief Scott bought back here with the neighborhoods, they accepted violence. They accepted it as, well, gunshots, it's gonna happen. I had one family tell me that when we get on the floor, when the shots have ceased, then I get the family up and we go back to our normal way of life. And we say that's unacceptable. So we wanna change those community norms. So the next thing is, this program is not designed to do all over Gainesville. You have to do neighborhoods specifically. And we work with our crime analysis individuals to identify the various neighborhoods. We're gonna start off with the Duval community. I think the young man that was here earlier spoke about the Duval neighborhood. So if they can get me to that one. Okay, now they went out of place there. Some of the things that our violence interrupters would do is they would respond to the shootings in the community. They would organize the community, and you try to spread natural positive norms within the community through positive engagement. A lot of times people realize when you have a shooting, you think you just have the perpetrator and the victim, but you got ancillary impacts of the shooting with the family members, the neighbors. A lot of kids witness this or hear gunfire, they go back to school, and some of them can't function. Okay, and they begin to fall farther and farther behind. So one of the things that the interrupters would do, Inspire interrupters would do, they'll respond to the shootings. They'll try to talk with the community, organize the community to say that, you know, it's a better way than going to retaliate. because all that's going to do is further the violence that you would have, and we try to spread positive knowledge. Let the system work its way out through positive engagement with the neighborhoods. Next slide. Now we're into the Duval community. As you can look at the Duval community, you can see the stats. I'm not going to read verbatim everything, but the results were there was a report of one discharge of a firearm, a 66% decrease in 21. The homicide did occur in 2021. However, 2020, there were 4 attempted homicides and 0 were reported in 2021. And what we did was we put interrupters out within the community. These individuals talk with people, mentor people. They have no guns. All they have is a cell phone, and they're on foot. And it's at night. Yeah, I'll say it again. All they have is a cell phone, and they're on foot at night. And what they try to do is mediate conflicts. They try to talk with those individuals that would be considered have a high propensity of violence and try to refer them to proper social activities where jobs, like the young man was saying, that hopefully they can leave that life of violence. Next neighborhood. Pine Ridge. Same thing, I'm not going to read everything, but you can see the stats from 2019 to 2021. They did have, there was a homicide, 2 consecutive homicides, 2019 to 2020. There was no homicides reported in 2021. 0 reports of discharge of firearms, 100% decrease of that particular crime. Pine Ridge was a neighborhood that was labeled by Jacksonville, Florida as Little Pakistan. That actually Jacksonville News came down in Channel 4 and did a story and named this community Little Pakistan. My family lived up in Jacksonville. I took exception to that. When I went up to Jacksonville, Gainesville is a better place. And but I will say that Pine Ridge still have issues, but it's nothing like it was in the past. Next neighborhood. Targeted areas, as again, what we said was we mediate disturbances, introduce community resources, develop trusting relationships with carriers of violence, and advocate for safe zones, schools, daycare centers, and church. We unpack reentry, and we try to improve public safety. Now, this is something that we do in conjunction of working with the police department, Florida Department of Corrections, and we also got Florida Department of Juvenile Justice here, so we work with all of them. Because what we try to do is those individuals that may have a propensity to engage in this type of activity, we try to work with them to give them positive alternatives so that they can, it won't happen. Next slide. And again, community implementation, partnerships. You can't do this by yourself. When I joined law enforcement many years ago, it was like, we're going to do this by ourselves. We're going to solve our crime. I think as the major and the undersheriff say, you can't arrest your way out of this problem. If you think law enforcement can come in and arrest your way out of the problem, it won't happen. It just will not happen. They view the interrupters as credible, trusted, and neutral by target communities with the highest risk individuals. Some of the individuals that are interrupters, and this was made this program controversial, they are past consumers of the criminal justice system. They are justice-involved individuals. But they have walked the walk, and they know what they talk, and there's some credibility when they go out and they mentor and stuff like that. They're not talking about for what they read in a book. They're giving them life experiences, like this young man back here. They do restorative justice, able and willing to work with individuals with criminal behaviors to come from groups and conflicts that have a history of violence and prevention. And this thing is data driven. One of the things I'll give you as a side note, your counterparts in Jacksonville, just last week, the Cure Violence people came up to the Jacksonville City Commission. They're asking for $500,000 in addition to what was already funded. The commission in Jacksonville said this: we hear that you, and I'm paraphrasing, y'all did some good, but I need to see greater data before we do that. So I'm gonna watch what Jacksonville City Council is going to do. I don't know if they're gonna bring it up in their next meeting, but they're in a decision on whether they're gonna fund or continue to fund the Interrupters program in Jacksonville. One of the groups that did speak for support of it was Duval County Sheriff's Office, where that was a change from the previous administration. So they're looking at it. This is a state grant, so it's not coming out of City of Gainesville dollars. So this is slated to end the end of this month, but Jacksonville apparently fund theirs. But if you look at their crime rate up there, they go pull the stops to really try to engage citizens in addressing homicide violence up there. Next one. These are just some of the offenders. That's why I was saying that they're young. They're young, they're males, and they're people of color. And these are actual individuals that some are in the system, some are on probation, and some that are blurred out are juveniles. That's why it's very important that you involve the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice and the Florida Department of Corrections when you come in and say that we're going to do a task force and stuff like that. They need to be intricately involved. Next slide. Same thing, some of the criminal histories of what those individuals have did. Next slide. There are success stories. There are success stories. The interrupters work as mentors, and they really work with, they utilize individuals' cases, management plans, focus on youth and adults, intervention utilizing moral recognition therapy, and individuals participate in multiple sessions to take them through cognitive steps that they can refrain from engaging in those type of activities. Next slide. And some of the success stories. The program currently works with 17 high-risk individuals that they on their caseload now. Probably after the 30th, they'll go to the bowl director, which is Diamond Smith over there, because you can't drop them. You cannot drop them. These are high-risk individuals that if they don't have the positive influence in their lives, they could easily slip back into engaging in criminal activity. And the partnerships, the Alachua County Sheriff's Office, Teen Court, Alachua County Probation and Parole, Alachua County Court Services. We also work with Florida Department of Corrections, and again, the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice. And I'm going through it rather fast because I know you got other things that you're doing. Next slide. Here are some of our results, and this is what Jacksonville was asking their individuals just, I think it was Tuesday. Results 2022, 7 firearms recovered from our Gainesville neighborhoods. Results 2023, 5 firearms recovered from our neighborhoods. Total number of contact hours in high-risk communities, 7,423. Total number of high-risk mediations, and high-risk mediation is there's beef between be it groups or individuals, 60 so far this year. That's the report of the interrupters. I'll entertain any questions.
Madam Chair. Chief, you may want to elaborate a little bit on the state grant that we received.
Yes.
I believe we got it in 2021.
2021.
$230,000, and For whatever reason, it was not, the grant agreement had not been fully executed, and we requested from our lobbyists, and of course, the state legislator
Right.
approved us carrying over the $230,000 in fiscal year 21-22. And so it will end, because I don't believe we expended the entire amount.
We didn't spend the entire amount, but
And
we
when
got
I say
into
that,
some of it. But
yes.
yes, but it's slated to end the 30th of this month.
And we would not have expended the full amount.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
Commissioner Chestnut?
So do we have to return
Yes.
We would have to return.
unexpended amount?
It's tough keeping the staff. That was one of the issues that was with the delay, and then we had to come back and write a manual. It was a couple of things that we had to do, but nonetheless, these are the results.
Okay, so is it customary for programs of this nature, interrupter programs, for the, I guess the people that are the interrupters to only, their only resource is their voice?
Yes, ma'am. Their voice, of course, we train them in emergency procedures. If they find themselves getting into a situation that could be dangerous for themselves or others, we ask them to pull back. Last year, I think Chief Scott was one of the reasons why he was wanting the manual. 3 interrupters were killed in the United States. I think Baltimore was one of the cities where they were homicide occurred, where they were killed in those particular areas. We require that they go out in pairs in lieu of going out by themselves. But your goal of going out is to build a rapport with the community. And I think they did a good job as far as doing that.
Okay, and then one final question. Then, are there any grants being provided from the Department of Justice for programs of this nature?
Possibly this fall, possibly. They call it Community Violence Interruptions through Office of the Department of Justice. But it may be a good possibility this fall.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you for this program. I am aware of its origins and have had the opportunity to speak to some individuals that are no longer with the city of Gainesville who also were a part of that. And so I'm grateful that we've been able to carry this forward to this point. And thank you, Caleb, for being some feet in the street and for leading a group of individuals in building rapport in community. Thank you very much. I do have a few questions. You mentioned the Cure Violence model.
Yes.
And I'm a person who's a big fan, as you know, of evidence-based
So am I.
models. That is the underpinning of the health model that
Correct.
we're pushing forward here. So I heard you say it was cost prohibitive.
Yes, ma'am.
For us. What was the cost?
Like $500,000.
$500,000?
Yes, that's just to come in and do an assessment to determine whether you really, I take it back, $250,000 just to do an assessment to come in and figure, to determine whether your community is eligible for it. And then by the time they do the training and everything, it's about $500,000. I think Jacksonville right now is funding it at a tune of, and don't correct, Roland, it's about $2.5 million.
Okay. Because it's effective?
Jacksonville, on certain parts of it, it is. The east side is not. They're reorganizing the north side. But on the west side, yes, it is. They got data that will support it. And that's what the commission is asking, the council up there is asking them to come back with the data before they will approve any additional funding with their program up there.
Got you. How are we collecting data?
We collect data. We use our crime analysts who sit back here in the audience. That's why I say you keep it straight because you got to do something independent instead of just on your own.
And so we have data.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So that's a good thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Has our interrupter program, in your opinion, been successful?
I think it's been successful. I think it's been hampered by the number of employees. You got to really want to do this. And the other thing that you have to be very careful of is they call it the compassionate syndrome, where sometimes you just burn yourself out because they generally work during the evening hours, and they generally work weekends, and sometimes it's just over and over. So that and that's becoming a national phenomenon with all the interrupter programs, is that you really have to give a mental health break from them. Some of the things that you saw up there, they were on the scenes, and they see those things, they internalize those things. So now there's a big mental health component push when you bring in a program such as that.
You see the need for this kind of outreach?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So why are we ending it?
Well, this was a state grant and state allocation. This was not City of Gainesville money, and the grant is running out. Our time period has expired.
Okay. But we didn't have any other streams of income?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. We have heard from the city as well as the county that gun violence is proliferating. It's getting worse. It's not getting any better.
Yes, ma'am.
It's one of the things that literally causes me to lose sleep at night.
Same here.
I live in Duval.
Same here.
And so I hear you when you speed by. I hear GFR when you respond. I hear the shots that are fired, whether you find the casings or not.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of times. And it hurts my heart. So I also know that summer is pretty much here. And it'll probably amp up during the summer months. And that's deeply concerning. I don't want to see this program end. I'm frightened about it ending. I've also heard from numerous community members who have said that they feel more comfortable with the program being in play, that they have appreciated the interrupters being in the community.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I'm of the mind to try to find support for this as opposed to seeing it just completely disappear.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
If it's something,
I defer that to the manager.
Yeah, and that's
out of
fine.
line.
And I mean, we'll definitely bring her into this conversation in a second. But the way that my mind works is there's always more than one way to do a thing. So while I understand that we may have constraints in the city, and I'm not asking for the city to do anything at this particular point. That's one of the reasons that there are various people in this room today. The city has some financial constraints, and we are having to cut back. But we cannot compromise safety. We cannot compromise safety. And so in my mind, I've been trying to figure out how we chart a path forward. And I've had some conversations with grant-making organizations and funding organizations who are willing to step forward with some support. I don't want to talk too much at this particular moment, but I will tell you that I've been in conversations with the Children's Trust, who's here today. And I'm pleased to say they are right now, one of the reasons that Marsha was unable to be with us is because 1 o'clock they had their strategic planning meeting. And in their strategic plan, they are moving up on their list of priorities, safety for youth. And there's an opportunity for us there. I don't want to discuss numbers at this point because that's a conversation that has to be had with them. But they are very aware of the Interrupters program. They believe in the program and want to provide support for the program. So, Madam Manager, I'll hear whatever it is you have to say, but also hear my heart. I understand where we are financially, but I also understand the need to keep youth and communities safe. And I understand, based on what we're hearing from the chief, based on what we're hearing from Caleb, based on what we're hearing from community, that this program has been something that is working. And if it is working, I don't want to see it end.
Madam Chair, your concerns are noted. As we reviewed the budget, as the chief knows, we took a look at, core services, and I know core services, the definition of that is relative in terms of what is important to different segments of the community. But we did not include this program in that it is a grant, and that we understood that it was difficulty in them actually implementing that grant to its fullest. We're actually unfortunately returning funds because of the inability, for the reasons that the chief outlined, being able to get the staff on the ground to actually implement it. But that aside, just knowing the difficulties that we face with the cutback that we've had to work around relative to the general fund transfer or government services charge from GRU, it has put a cramp on our ability to recommend many programs that, quite frankly, we would like to see proposed to the commission at this time. We hear you. We look forward to any grant opportunities to include, hopefully, the Children's Trust as they come forward, maybe with more information, and with more opportunities from GPD, Gainesville Police Department, to take a look at grant opportunities to fill this space, to fill this void. But as you know, even as we work from this point forward, we're looking at rollback of positions, elimination of positions. I hate to use that word, but we're in that space right now with our budget, where it is not only the juvenile justice programs, but other programs around the city where positions are being eliminated. And so it's hard to put a priority on any of them, because obviously those positions relate to people, and those people relate to families with responsibilities, and it affects their quality of life. And so I just say all that to say, I hear you. Look forward to grant opportunities to maybe be able to fill the void here. I believe there was an opportunity for a grant, but there was some problems dealing with that grant. Chief may want to speak to that. But again, ultimately, it is the decision of the commission in terms of how the budget plays out. I've made some recommendations or some proposals, I'll put it that way. But ultimately, is the decision of the commission to make, to set those priorities, and those fundings associated with those priorities is what I will address.
For sure. I can understand that. But that is where I will tell you that I will lean in on interlocal agreements and how we might be able to work with the county and any of our other partners. Because for me, it's literally unacceptable to be cutting back where we need to be pouring in, especially when you're talking about safety. So I'm not really trying to hear cutting back this. I'm trying to figure out ways to chart paths forward. So Commissioner Chestnut?
Thank you. Chief, could you tell me how much we are returning of the 230,000?
I couldn't give you the exact amount right now, but I can get it to you, Ms. Chestnut.
Okay, could you get that to us today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, so it seems to me that we would have to go to the community to try to fund
Absolutely.
this. But it's important to know how much is being returned.
Yes, ma'am. I'll
So
let you
then you would see how much we're actually trying to raise.
Let me also say this, and I'm sorry, Commissioner Chestnut, were you? Okay, thank you. I believe that there is an interest, I know that there is an interest from a few different entities who want to make sure that gun violence, and particularly this program, is sustained. And so the Children's Trust is one, but there is also some interest from the state, from individuals at the state level who want to ensure that this program continues.
Okay.
So I think there's conversation that we definitely need to have further. We can have it at the commission level. I'd like to invite some of those individuals to come and speak and talk about what resources they have available so that we can actually keep this program going that is apparently working.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask this, Chief. You mentioned that there was a capacity issue, I believe. What was it again? Please refresh my memory.
One of the things is that with sustaining the right people for this position, and there's this thing called compassion anxiety, where some people just burn out. It is a position that you want to be there, because like you say, your voice is what you have out there, and your credibility is, those are the two things that make you effective in this particular role. And getting the right people, getting them trained. We just don't take them and throw them out there. You have to do the training with those individuals so they can be seated to do a great job out there. And they are mentors. And when you start saying evidence-based, the Department of Justice will tell you that's probably one of the most effective tools that you have out there is mentoring.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
actually have a response to Commissioner Chestnut's question. I'd actually asked for that information last week, and this is what I received from our finance department. To date, the program has received, based on a reimbursement, $43,046.21. That's how much we've been reimbursed for packages that we have submitted to the state for reimbursement. The total grant, as we talked about initially, was $230,000, and the remaining amount left is about $186,953. And it's mainly personnel that
Yes.
we are requesting reimbursement on. So
Yes.
we have spent very little of it. So.
Right. And I think there's some additional invoices being prepared for the final invoice cycle.
So we're returning about, maybe after your invoices, I would say maybe 160,000,
I would,
150,000. John is shaking his head.
they handle the invoice.
John Alexander here. I think it's going to be it's going to be more than that. There's still invoices being processed. And the grant is not over. We still have a couple of weeks left on the grant. It doesn't end until June 30th, so I think we'll have a more accurate number in a couple of weeks for you.
Thank you.
So it's in progress.
Okay, thank you. And so if I could just go back, and so what was the delay in getting it started? Why didn't we get to spend the whole $230,000?
Initially, there was some disagreement of which department in the state of Florida that it would come out of. It was applied first through the Florida Department of Corrections, and then it was transferred to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and then Florida Department of Law Enforcement. So it was a confusion. We had to bring the governor's office in, and then they finally said it was going to be the Florida Department of Correction. This was a unique grant, and they have never did something like this before, and they were trying to get the proper fit.
Okay.
That was the first year. Yeah.
Okay, so Jacksonville didn't have to go through
No,
this.
Jacksonville did not have to go through that. Jacksonville did have some seed money initially that was federal dollars. Then Jacksonville decided that they were going to fund the program.
All right. Any other program funded in Florida?
I will have to check. I believe Orlando is going to, or they were going to embark upon doing that. I don't know what their commission decided, but Orlando is going to embark on a similar project.
Okay. Well, when you look at that, I'd like to know if other departments in Florida had the same problem
certainly.
we had in trying to find the department.
Now, they were not going state. When most
Okay,
of
so,
yeah.
so here's my question.
Okay.
Was Alachua County, city of Gainesville, the only city that applied for state funding for the interrupter program?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay, all right then. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Chestnut, and thank you, Madam Curry. Chief, is there anything else you'd like to add
No,
with
ma'am.
regards to this?
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Caleb, is there anything you would like to add? I know we heard a little bit from John. Would you like to add anything?
Thank you for this opportunity. Not a whole bunch to add. I would just say this. When I look around the room, I see a lot of people that put their hands to the plow, and I like to say that the harvest is ripe, but the laborers are few. There were a few things that kept this program from getting to its potential. As I listen in the room, I can understand what it is. But while out there, we come face to face with this. And many times, as I look around the room, I see my mentors, folks that was my SROs, and especially him. Chad, you know, we got this thing where I talk about in the first grade, he was my SRO. He's been around for a while, so to be able to work hand in hand and making sure, you know, stuff like this does not continue means a lot to me. And let me say this, I don't talk a whole bunch. I'm a doer. And a lot of this work that's happening is coming from individuals who don't talk a whole bunch, but they depend on us. They depend on us to make sure that they have the proper resources. They depend on us to make sure that programs like this stay in place, but because for a lot of them, it's a stage to give back from a place that they once took from. So when we start talking about justice involved individuals, all right, we're talking about those folks, doers. I'm from East Gainesville, a little small place called Copeland, Florida. One traffic light, Miss Glasper. I know some people in here know what I'm talking about. All right, and so when I begin to look at the sweat equity that's going in from individuals sitting in this room, it makes me proud because now I can look back at those mentors. I can look back at those SROs and say, hey, listen, just like Adrian, look how far we've come. And I look forward to continuing this work. I don't know how. I don't know where the money is going to come from. I can tell you that there is a need, all right? And being an individual that's out there with a phone, the most powerful thing I have is my voice. That's it. And with my voice, we're able to get those guns off the street. With my voice, we're able to communicate change, promulgate change, positive norms. And with my voice, I can stand up here and tell you that there is a true need. Now, I don't know how all the mechanisms work. I don't. And I'm reminded of a trip. I just got back from Vancouver, Canada, trying to do the same thing that we're doing trying to implement in the city of Gainesville. They're chomping at the bit for this stuff. And no, we can't arrest our way out of a problem, but we can communicate our way out of a problem. And so I'm happy to be here today. I'm happy to have an opportunity to speak. And I hope, I've been at this for almost 20 years now, whether it was, you know, the Riker, whether it was the Bowl, while it was in its infancy, I was there. I don't talk much about that. But it's my life's work. From 1993, coming up to GPD and getting on a charter bus just to go to a Florida Gator game, or whether I could go to the library and do what I did the other day, pull up the first black-on-black crime task community choir who sang at the Thelma Bolton Center. Alongside was Derry Lord and Julie McCoy and all of the folks that we look to for leadership now. And so here we are. Here we are. We're hoping for change. We're hoping for a way forward. And I'm inclined to say this, and I'll leave you with it. Keep in mind, please, everyone, it's the number one rule for me. It's the golden rule. The people that we're serving or trying to serve, all right, especially the youth, they want to know how much you care before they want to know how much you know. So we got all these programs that we're talking about putting in place, and there's no rapport. There's no relationship. So we often say meeting people where they are is what we want to do. Well, we're meeting here, but we got to get some folks out there. It's important to me. And I'll say this on the record. I stopped by the basketball court yesterday in Duval. There were kids on that basketball court. And there was also a fight on that basketball court. I also showed up to Sweetwater Branch because that's now a new target area for the interrupters. And there was blood on the ground and glass on the ground. And there were people shot. I'm pretty passionate about this. So I just want to say this. Let's do more walking, less talking. Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. Thank you for your life's work. So I will just kind of conclude this segment of the meeting by saying, I think it's been borne out today, the efficacy of the program and how important it is, and making sure that we find a way to fund this. I saw video footage from a few weeks ago of a fight that was in an apartment complex. And it was a fight of 4 young ladies. And the fights are different today. Years ago, you used to fight and probably be friends by the end of the day or the next day. This was a fight in which one young woman left the fight to go into the apartment. She came back to the fight and stabbed one of the young ladies about 4 or 5 times. This was being videotaped. And if I'm not mistaken, this was a 14 or 15-year-old. Communication, rapport, I think are 2 powerful things. And being there. Interruption is important. So I look forward, Commissioner Chestnut, to finding ways that we will fund this program and expand its efforts. Interrupters is just one. You all have heard me talk about the credible messengers, and I do believe in the value of using those who are just as involved. Chief, I heard you say it's controversial in some circles. It may be, but it's powerful. I know. You didn't say it, other people. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. For some people it is. But that's where the power lies. The folks who've been there and done that are the ones who can develop the rapport. So I'll conclude with that. I probably am not going to ask for a motion, so to speak, Commissioner Chestnut, but I will probably just agenda a couple of things. I may agenda something on an upcoming meeting that has to do with this, that has to do with the interruptions. Did you want to make a motion?
No?
Okay.
Okay, this is something then that you would just bring to agenda review?
I will bring to agenda review and / put it on the agenda for conversation, because we've had this conversation here at the commission, or at the Public Safety Committee, and it sounds like, I mean, are you in agreement with the importance of this organization?
It's important. I'm just looking for a little bit more of an outcome, and I didn't hear the outcome that I was looking for. So I'd like more information. I think what I heard the chief said that they were dealing with 17 individuals. Yeah, 17 individuals. I would just like some more information.
Can our data analysts perhaps help, or is there something that they can provide?
I'd like
What
a
would you like?
breakdown. You said you had 21 individuals who were shot. I'd like a breakdown there. I would like more data, if you have the data. And you don't have to do it today, because you got 3 minutes and I've got to go.
Okay, no problem. I'm fast. It's up here.
Okay, so if you could just bring that back when we schedule this.
Oh.
But I want to see the information.
My name is Bridget Smart. I'm the Certified Crime and Intelligence Analyst Senior at GPD, and I just wanted to update the information that Chief Jones provided. We have had 76 firearms stolen this year, 51 during a conveyance burglary. Juvenile offenders are our highest offenders.
That's what I'm looking for.
We have 56 confirmed shots fired this year, and about 23 people injured, 2 were incident accidental. So 21 individuals shot, yes. Most of them were juveniles. And they're doing the shooting also.
Thank you. Would you like an additional report, Commissioner?
If she could just bring that back in a report. What I'm getting now is, I like reports.
We'll get that.
Yeah, thank you. So I'd like to be able to see it, to look at the information.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Chestnut. Greatly appreciate everybody who brought their information and took their time out for that conversation today. Commissioner Chestnut, I know that you have to go. We have two more things that are on our agenda that I think are a little bit lighter. So at this time, Madam Clerk, what's our next item, please?
Discussion item is 2023-551 One Nation, One Project update.
May I ask? Yeah, I think we received an update at the commission meeting. Could I ask you to move the gun summit update?
Sure. Before that?
Yes, and then
Absolutely.
I will have to go.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we're going to move to 2023-552
We'll
Gun
put that
Violence
above that.
Summit update.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioner Chestnut, Yvette Carter, City Manager's Office. I will be brief. I know that you all have to go, but it is an honor to be on the team that is assisting Mayor Pro Tem Duncan Walker and Mayor Ward in organizing the summit with them. So our summit will be August 6th and 7th of this year. It is unconventional for a summit. It will start on a Sunday, but we are working through Mayor Pro Tem to be very strategic in how we engage our community. That Sunday it's going to be a 2-day convening. The 6th and the 7th is a Sunday and a Monday. On that Sunday is the Community Day that is led by Mayor Pro Tem Duncan Walker. We will have our interfaith leaders be a part of that day. We will convene a panel on that day. We will have a town hall where our leaders will have an opportunity to hear from our community. We will have breakout sessions on that day, and we are working on two, I will call them major speakers, to come in on that day. I don't think we're ready to announce those names just yet. I'm looking you deep in your eyes. She's smiling big. So I'm going to say that is going to be announced. We're confirming details around that. Really, this can be, I'll talk about the second day in a moment, but really this convening is about answering a few different questions, both through the community lens and through our policy lens. And those questions are, what are we currently doing in our community about gun violence? Is it working? Why or why not? What communities are successful that are combating gun violence? Who are they? And then exactly what are they doing? And then how could we collectively, as a region, and in this instance, we are considering a region, Alachua County, our county. So what can we do, what can be done collectively to decrease or eliminate this issue in our community? And I liked what was on one of the slides that Chief Jones had up. He said, decrease the trajectory, see a downward trajectory in gun violence. And that's what really we're trying to get at, actionable items. The policy day will be, the community day will be open to the public. There will be sessions that are open widely. There will be other sessions that would be open to folks that are in our county. Registration will be coming out within the next couple of weeks. So that is our community day. I'll pause, Commissioner, Mayor Pro Tem Duncan Walker, if there's anything that you wanted me to speak on further about that day before I continue to the policy day.
I don't think so. Thank you very much, Yvette.
Okay. And then our policy day will be truly a convening of the folks who are practitioners. We are looking at some specific sectors, and that is elected officials, educators, the community, the criminal justice community, which would include, we should have said criminal justice and public safety, community, mental health professionals. And those folks will convene on that second day, really talking about policy and answering those same sets of questions. In addition, they will have an opportunity to work with each other in coming up with actionable items for our community. This, we hope, we're planning to be a beginning of what we hope to be a quarterly convening of those folks in the policy space to see what we're doing, how we're doing, is what we're doing working, how can we adjust. That's a very, very high level overview of what is being planned thus far. Again, it's very much in its shell stages. We have a committee that is coming together this week to begin putting more meat on the bones, and hopefully very, very soon we'll be able to announce some exciting folks to come that have national acclaim that will be coming to our conference.
Thank you very much, Yvette. May I ask you this? How are we working with marketing to get the word out about the summit?
So we are working with our communications team. They are pulling together various things. One of the things I didn't mention, but maybe I should mention if it's televised, this may be a little bit of a commercial, that we are looking for partners to assist us with this heavy lift. So there will be opportunity for sponsorships. So our communications team is putting together a packet that will discuss some of the things that I talked about here and provide opportunities for folks that many of the folks that you listed on your list of folks that you would like to have, organizations that you would like to have on the task force. We would love to have them be a part of this summit. We're also advertising on all the traditional, in all the traditional ways. We are going to be on radio. We'll be in the paper, the city's website. You heard is up and running, and as we build out the summit, that information is going on the summit. We will be working with our faith-based leaders because we want them to be a major part of this summit on both days, but particularly on the community day. I am going to look to my back to make sure I didn't miss anything from our communications director. Did I hit the high points? If I missed anything, charge it to my head, not to my heart. I didn't write that part down, but I can get you an exhaustive list of what we plan on doing. Right, the brochure is a part of our offerings out not only for sponsorship, but to allow folks to know what the summit is about. That brochure will give more exhaustive information about the tenets of the summit.
Absolutely. How can the community be involved? Are there opportunities for the community to come in as presenters, or what role can the community play?
So we do have a portion. I just kind of hit some of the high points. There is going to be a resource fair as a part of the community day. There are opportunities for breakout sessions that we are looking for folks on the community day to speak. And so if folks from the community would like to be involved, I will put my name and contact information out, Yvette Carter. I work in the city manager's office. I'm easy to find, I think. I feel like everybody has my number. But if not, my email address is cartersy@gru.com, and the office number is 352-393-8676. But I'm easy to find.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Yvette.
Sounds very good.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Great.
Any more comments, Madam Curry? Did you have a comment? Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Chesson. I know you have to
Thank
leave.
you.
Absolutely. We have one more item, I believe, Madam Clerk.
Yes, next item, 2023-551, One Nation, One Project update.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioner. Brandy Stone, Community Health Director with Gainesville Fire Rescue, here to share a brief update with you all about One Nation, One Project and where we're currently at. So, as you know, One Nation, One Project is the city's initiative to promote youth well-being and reduce youth gun violence by increasing the number of arts and cultural activities in our community. We are currently in phase 1 of the project, with the project concluding in July of 2024, so we have about 13 months left of One Nation, One Project. We are currently in phase 1, which are our small-scale community listening projects. We had 66 applicants in April when the application closed on April 30th, and 20 projects were selected from that group of 66 through a panel review that was an objective process through a review panel. We are currently working on the contracting process, and we'll have these projects rolling out throughout the summer, many of which we have already started to advertise or have already begun, which is quite exciting. In addition to the phase 1 projects, of course, through those, we are also collecting what we're calling community listening data, which is to better understand what our youth and our community would like to see as a result of One Nation, One Project, specifically around healthy activities that they enjoy participating in, as well as the arts and cultural programming that they would like to see moving forward. And we will be analyzing that information and including that in our phase 2 call for proposals. So we're currently working on drafting what that call for proposals would look like, but of course need as much data as we can get from our community through phase 1 to be able to inform that. We're currently also working on solidifying our phase 2 information sessions. So we are going to be hosting 2 information sessions in the month of July for our community to come learn about what phase 2 projects look like and what we've learned through phase 1. And that information is forthcoming in terms of solidifying those dates and those locations for that. We, of course, are continuing to engage our youth steering committee, which is made up of youth from around our community who are interested in sharing their insights and perspective as it relates to youth gun violence here. That group meets monthly, and they discuss gun violence, arts. They also helped us with the proposal review process, and we're really critical in that. And they are, our local experts, our community experts. But in addition to that, our Cherie Kelly, who is the co-lead with me on One Nation, One Project, has also worked to provide them also development opportunities. So it's been a really wonderful experience to watch them engage in that space. In terms of some events that we have past and upcoming, we had our Never Have Had a Friend play come back to our community on May 24th, and we have a total number of attendees, which was 196 people, which is really wonderful to see how many people from our community, including our local youth from our high schools, come out. And then upcoming in June, we are going to be working with the Mirror Image Leadership Academy to host some youth gun violence in schools work with them. Also, we have a tentative date for the summer community culminating event for 2023, and that's going to be August 19th. Again, is tentative, but we will work to solidify that soon. And we are excited to be hosting some of these opportunities for the community to come in and learn a little bit more about phase 2 and what is to come with One Nation, One Project. I do have with me, if you would like, the names of the organizations and the projects that were funded through phase 1, and I'm happy to share that now if you'd like.
I would be interested in that, Brandon.
Sure. All right. It's printed very small, so please bear with me.
And is that available anywhere for us?
I can make it. I can absolutely send that out.
Okay.
Sure. So we have Aces in Motion with Through My Eyes program. We have Across Town Repertory Theater with the Gator Actors Guild program. We have the Against All Odds movement with Peace Up, Guns Down, a youth healing and arts empowerment community jam for gun violence awareness. We have the Bailey Learning and Arts Collective with Writing to Heal, Our Stories of Survival. We have the Emoji Therapy Center, which is the Emoji Youth Mindfulness Workshop. We have Hype 100 radio station with Bang With Your Beats, Not With Your Heat program. We have La Selva Studios with Banners Over Bullets, elevating community voices through visual arts and media. We have Mama's Club with Arise, Stop the Bullying, Stop Gun Violence and Domestic Violence in Porter's Quarters. We have the Repurpose Project Expression Project. We have Deep Roots Art and Culture Creative Services Community Experience Mural Project. We have Dream on Purpose, Cupcakes and Conversations, SOS, Saving Ourselves from Gun Violence. DWMT Productions with Production Ain't Easy Workshops. The Education Equalizer Foundation with the Education Equalizer Oratorical Competition. Released with Educate Not Incarcerate. Pace Center for Girls Alachua, Aiming for Peace. The Henry and Rilla White Foundation, Color My World. Smooth Flava Dance, GNV, Everybody in a Jam. The Greater Duval Neighborhood Association with Out East Youth Chat and Chew, Healing from the Hood. Figure on Diversity, Outshone. And lastly, Wake Up and Dream Incorporated with Wake Up and Dream Summer Awareness Program.
All right. Thank you, Brandy. Sure. And can you remind us how much was available for those?
It was up to $5,000, and so we had 66 folks apply for the 20 slots of up to $5,000.
All right. Thank you very, very much. I greatly appreciate that. Well, I'm up here all by my lonesome. I don't have any more questions, but I do want to make sure that we open up the floor for general public comment because we may have individuals who want to come and share with us. So at this time, the floor is open for general public comment. Anyone who wishes to come forward and share with us some final thoughts for the day.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Madam City Manager. I'm Avis Butler. I apologize for being late, just flying in from New Jersey, trying to get here. I listened to just about most of the comments, at least while trying to get dressed. I'd like to just make a couple of comments regarding first the youth program, the summer youth program that we had this past summer. And I want to first give kudos to Commissioner Chestnut. I know she had to leave, but I don't think many people, maybe one or two people, know exactly how that program got started. But back in the late 80s, with her dream and her vision, she contacted our agency, United Gainesville Community Development Corporation, and she just said, you know, we got a lot going on, just to make sure that our youth will be protected, will have a dream, will continue on in a good manner. We'd like to see if you can develop a program, a youth program, summer employment program. So the CLOUT program was started by Commissioner Chestnut. That's her program. She asked me if I could put it in words, but she basically, that was her vision, her dream. Since there was a change in the superintendent after the program started, and it was a wonderful program. Over 700 applicants from the school system for the youth, close to 250 jobs. And here's what I'd like to recommend to try and find money for the Interrupters program. Every job was funded by the employer. This past summer, every job was funded by the trust, the county, the Children's Trust Agency. So can we work something out, maybe, with the county, that in the future for the jobs, half of it could be funded by the trust, the other half could be funded by the employers, and the additional money that was available last summer could be available this year and be used as a part of the interrupter program, if we could see that. Because we had no issue with any of the employers wanting to pay out of pocket for their jobs. And we'd just like to say thank you to the city. I know I didn't have a chance to come up here at that point in time, but you all were the largest employer, single employer for the city program this past summer. I worked with Ms. Carter, and she just did whatever she needed to do with the city manager to get that done, even though there were some roadblocks initially. You all said, we're still going to make it work. You made it work, and the number of jobs, and I'm thinking somewhere at least close to 30 jobs, 34 jobs being funded, and we really appreciate that. So anything else that I can do to assist you all in getting money for our youth, and I'd just like to say that has just been a tremendous part for me. I grew up in Miami, the city of Miami. My father was of the first 5 black policemen in the city of Miami. He decided to become a juvenile officer simply because of the same issues that they were having back then, starting in 1944. So I'm so familiar with it. For 32 years, he stayed on the force. And I'm so familiar with it and have such a passion for our youth. So whatever it is that I can do to assist you all in finding some additional money, whether it's helping writing grants or putting anything together, that's fine. But I would like to go to the county and see if we can get some more of that money and have our employers pay for half, at least half of the youth that they're planning on to employ. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Avis. We greatly appreciate you, and I'm sure Madam Curry heard that. We greatly appreciate you. Thank you. Anybody else for general public comment? All right. Oh, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
My name is Anita Hurd. I'm in old-time Gainesville. I was born here. And I want to tell you, as at the City of Gainesville, I'm extremely proud of you. You, Madam. I remember this as a child, and I want to thank you for coming, staying in Gainesville, trying to make it a better place. I'm 80, and I'm the only house on Fifth Avenue because I refuse to give it up.
Amen.
The City of Gainesville, as far as I am concerned, have done a disjustice for the people because we are going to be embodied with at least 60,000 students between 13th and 10th. I don't know how we're going to do it because our police department is not that great, and our fire department is not. But hopefully, knowing Gainesville and all of these new places and new faces that I see, that we will be able to carry this out. And just in case, you need to come down and see what your city is going to be about. Because I am a Gainesvilleite and I still own here, and I'm not going anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hurd. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming back home. Is that everyone for public comment? I greatly appreciate everyone. Thank you all for sitting through with this, those of you who were able to stay. This issue of gun safety is not a quick conversation. This is the first in this particular format under this particular initiative, but it certainly will not be the last. I'm so grateful for all of you. We have a lot of work ahead of us. You saw us trying to work a little bit of that out up here at the dais. That will continue, and it'll only get better. I thank you so much for everything. With that, this meeting is adjourned.